Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today we'll be continuing our minor races and factions series, and if they could be justifiable for Total War Warhammer 3. Today's race in question is that of Nippon, so without further ado, let's begin. As we are well aware, many of the races in the Warhammer fantasy world were inspired by cultures from our own real-world history. Some of these races, such as the Empire, were more fleshed out as more editions of Warhammer Fantasy were released. However, races more commonly found in the eastern parts of the Warhammer Fantasy world remained largely untouched. Yes, they did receive tidbits of lore here and there, but in most cases, most lore revolving around them can be considered more of a footnote than anything else. One such race is that of Nippon and the Nipponese, and even I know that this one is going to be hard to justify. But before anything, let's read out a few excerpts of lore so that we may better understand this race. Nippon is a vast, far-off island empire located eastwards of Cathay in the Far East. It is ruled by a reclusive semi-divine emperor, but real power lies in the hands of the many feudal warriors, also known as samurai. Yep, one issue is already here, but don't worry, we'll get to this soon. Let's move on. These warrior nobles govern large domains and command retinues with which they frequently indulge in private wars among themselves. Nipponese society is normally run by the samurai, who exchange their protection for control over the towns and cities, along with taxes and the right to levy militia. Nipponese are said to be intensely distrustful of outsiders. They only permit foreigners to travel into their lands very rarely, which is why so little is known about this isolationist nation. So as you may have guessed, Nippon is based on feudal-era Japan, with Nippon itself being the Japanese word for Japan. Yes, this isn't really inspired, and it does get a little bit more cringy, let's just say. Once again, it is very important to note that, the East was not fleshed out whatsoever, so most, if not all lore, was pretty much taken from their real-world history. Samurai nobility leading bands of disciplined and utterly devoted followers. Warrior monks that do not need weapons, but instead fight with their bare hands. And while they cannot wear armor or carry shields, their agility is such that they can dodge and parry blows with their own limbs alone. Ninja assassins whose mastery over stealth makes them a force to be reckoned with. An interesting footnote here would be that the Skaven of Clan Eshen studied these men from afar, and that is how they learnt their trade. Now obviously, these things are way too similar to their real-world counterparts. Nippon was fought up by Games Workshop in a very early period of their lore writing, which we can be very honest here, it wasn't original whatsoever, and this is further shown when they started creating characters for this race and faction. Many characters to come from Nippon in the Warhammer world had their names taken from various electronic and automobile company names. Once again, not original whatsoever. But it has been stated in various sources that Games Workshop always had intention to flesh out the eastern factions of the Warhammer world, but sadly never got around to doing so. Maybe it's because of the fact that Warhammer Fantasy was never really that fleshed out when comparing it to 40k. And obviously we have to take into account that in its earlier years, Games Workshop was a much smaller company than it is today. Less resources would have been available, which obviously does make some factions and races suffer for it. Out of all the races in the Warhammer Fantasy world that we have discussed on this channel, I honestly don't know where Nippon stands. This is in regards to a potential release in Total War Warhammer 3, of course. On the one hand, Nippon was established as a naval powerhouse in the Warhammer Fantasy universe, with the lore going as far as stating, well, what little lore there was, that they were even a problem for the Grand Empire of Cathay. The basis of an army was established in 3rd edition, nothing too great, but enough to have something going. The landmass is obviously established in lore. Some races such as the Dark Elves, Skaven, High Elves and people of Marienburg have had a decent amount of communication or aggressive engagement with this race. Religion was established with Nippon, they had their own exclusive deity and also were known to have some Tzeentchian cults. When comparing this amount of information to say the Vampire Coast or Norska, there is a basis to create a brand new race pack from just this information. However, there are some things that work against this race. Now, whilst we aren't aware whether or not the Nipponese landmass will actually feature in the map for Total War Warhammer 3, we are aware that Nippon is indeed canon within the timeline of Total War Warhammer. This is confirmed when playing as Clan Eschen. So we can make the assumption that maybe Nippon's landmass will feature in the third and final game of the series. Depending if the area itself gets reworked or not, the current size of Nippon itself is not that large, and can probably not justify 1 or 2 legendary lords, let alone a few minor factions to go alongside it. Obviously, not all legendary characters have to start in Nippon. It has been known in lore that various different characters have travelled out of Nippon in an effort to secure new lands, treasures, or whatever their goal might be. The naming convention itself would have to be redone because, if I can be very honest here, the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay editions, the early ones at least, that tried to flesh out Nippon a little further, well, they were kinda stupid. I mean, can we just be honest about that? Yes, this was an early time for Games Workshop, but I'm surprised that nobody read that over and went, yeah, this is dumb, maybe we need to go back to the drawing board. In all honesty, there could be the ever so slightest chance that Nippon could eventually be introduced as a playable race, but I only see it in the following of 2 ways. Either as a minor race pack with 1 or 2 legendary lords and that's it due to the fact that Nippon itself is so small, or as an FLC race with 1 or 2 legendary lords. Unfortunately, there's really not that much to go by. One thing is for certain, obviously Nippon would have to be rebuilt in terms of lore from the ground up, which might be too much of a hassle for Games Workshop and Creative Assembly. Yes, this argument can be used for pretty much any minor race and faction from the Warhammer Fantasy world that has still not been implemented into the Total War Warhammer series, but given the fact that Nippon has a small playing field, it might be a bit more difficult, if that makes any sense. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Nippon has a chance to be implemented into the Total War Warhammer series, or there is no chance whatsoever? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion, shall we? Before we end this video, I just want to say I apologize for not being able to reply to as many comments as I normally do. I am actually reading them, don't you worry about that, but I've been working on a bunch of different things at the moment. You see, the new computer is pretty much almost ready to go, and soon I'll be able to do a nice proper Total War Warhammer stream with ultra graphics, ultra unit sizes and so on. I can't wait to do that, it's going to be amazing. And I've been working on a bunch of special projects for the channel, which I can't really give out too much information just now as I'm still trying to make them more concrete. But I've got a bunch of special guests for one project. This one's going to be quite special, and hopefully for a few others. The plan is to release them in August, so we're not too far away, and once I have some more information, I'll let you guys know. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various different social media links such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team. Also in the description section below is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Using our special link and also the special code, which is also in the description below, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons, your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to Ryan Bertsche and Gibraltar LUSC for subscribing to us at our Fame level, you guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule and VSVasan for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you guys enough. The money earned from Patreon is going directly back into the channel, slowly upgrading little bits and bobs, just trying to get to a higher level of content for you guys. And a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. The support has been insane lately, and honestly, we can't be more than excited. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.